Recently, in a low-level dueling tournament, a player by the name of Kato was using a very interesting setup for his Whirlwind Barbarian. Kato was using a broken weapon in his offhand, much to the surprise of many people watching. Many of you have asked, what the heck is the point of this? So in this video, we're going to take a look at what exactly the benefits are of having a broken weapon equipped on your character. Let's dive in. There's currently a bug in D2R that allows dual-wielding characters that can whirlwind to be able to duplicate the effects of one of their weapons. Although some people feel some type of way about utilizing glitches in games, I think a lot of people will appreciate this because it actually favors the budget player. Let me start by explaining how Whirlwind works. When a character casts Whirlwind, the game checks for something. It looks to see if the character is using one weapon or two weapons. This is basically a one-time check to determine how often that Whirlwind is going to strike a target. If a character is only using one weapon, it will strike less. If they're dual wielding, it will strike more often. If you're only holding one weapon, whether it's a two-handed weapon or a one-handed weapon, the character will hit less often because you're only holding one weapon. But something odd happens if you are holding two weapons and one of them is broken. The game checks to see that you are holding two weapons, and it knows that you're going to hit more often than you would if you were just holding one. There's also sort of a fail-safe in the game that checks to see if one of the weapons that you're holding is broken. If it is, it removes all of the auras from that weapon and all of the attributes of it from your character screen. So if you are holding a broken weapon, none of the attributes, auras, crushing blow, added damage, or anything will be applied from that broken weapon. However, you will still hit more often than if you were only wielding one weapon. And since the game only has one weapon to hit with, it will hit twice as often with the weapon that is not broken. This was discovered and theorized in early November 2021 on some trading forums, but the idea has been sort of tested and fleshed out in the community ever since. This LLD tournament was the first place that it sort of came to fruition in front of many other people. But this is basically how you would want to set it up. You'll want to get one really good weapon that you want to hit twice with and put that into your main hand. Your main hand is the one that is over your gloves on the left side of the screen. From there, you'll want to get another weapon that's just broken and put that on your offhand, which is on the right side above your boots. From there, as we talked about, when you start whirlwinding, the game will check to see that you are using two weapons, but since nothing from the broken weapon can be applied, it will be forced to hit with your good weapon twice. The way that Kato used this in low-level dueling was that he basically saved himself from having to get two robo axes, which is a fancy term for a 6-socket naga that you put jewels and shale runes in, by putting a broken naga on his offhand. Kato was quite effective in his strategy for low-level dueling, and in a pretty decently sized tournament, this guy was able to place in the top 4. You can also take advantage of this in PvE with, say, a Grief Berserker Axe. If you wanted to dual-wield Grief Berserker Axes on your Barb, you could just acquire one Grief, put it on your main hand, and then put a broken axe on your offhand. I would suggest using a broken weapon of the same type or of the same range, really, because there's one thing that we don't know yet, and that is if the range of the broken weapon is applied to the whirlwind. It's not something that is easily tested either, so just to be safe, I would use a weapon with the same type and range. For testing purposes in single player, I tried this out with a Grief Berserker Axe on the main hand and a Broken Beast on my offhand. As you can see, the Fanaticism aura was not applied, the Crushing Blow and Open Wounds from Beast were also not applied, but the Barb hits just as often as if the Beast was actually fully active, but instead he's hitting with Grief Berserker Axe. I will remind you that a big bug-fixing patch is just on the horizon for D2R, but I'm not sure if this is something that's on their radar. It probably is now. However, I don't think it's a huge deal, as more people will probably appreciate the fact that this just saves them from having to acquire two Griefs for their Whirlwind PVM Barbs. In high-level PvP, I still believe that probably Beast and Grief will be the meta, or will probably be the best choice. Still a really cool glitch, though, for certain circumstances. Let me know if you try it out.